Spacestar, eh? Sounds to me like some spangly 70s disco hit. But Mitsubishi say they've called it that because it's the latest to join the Space family. Remember the Space Runner and the new Space Wagon. And they're hoping it's going to be a star. They also say that it's a compact, semi-tall, whatever that is, profile. Well, to you and me, it's a 5-door family hatch based on the Charisma platform. Don't let that fairly boxy exterior fool you. This isn't another mini MPV. It's certainly not a Renault Scenic competitor, as Mitsubishi are only too keen to point out. The defining factor of the mini MPVs is that they are a monospace. This isn't. It's a 2-box. The engine is in a separate compartment of the car to the bit that I'm sat in now. So get that out of the way right from the start. Mitsubishi say it's in direct competition with your family hatches, perhaps even small estates, but also things like Ford's new Focus and the Mercedes A-Class. So what we seem to be getting here is almost another class entirely of a family hatch, a 5-door, but that's kind of bloated a little bit, in which there's a bit more room. So the important thing is the interior straight away. And climbing into this one, it's a pleasing environment. The fact that it is that bit higher does mean it's fairly spacious in here. To give you an idea of the size of it, it is narrower than an A-Class, lower than an A-Class, but slightly longer. It's about the same on the road as a lower medium family hatch, really, which is you'd expect. It's based on the Charisma. Looking around in here, in this interior, there's one thing that leaps straight away to mind, and I can only say that we must give Mitsubishi the benefit of the doubt and hope that it's on this car and this car only, and that's some of the fit here on this handle is absolutely appalling. If you put your hand there, you could rip a nail off. Very bad. And also, there's a thing missing down here completely, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, assume that's not going to be the case when it is in production. One thing that sadly isn't going to change, and I'll get all my whinges out of the way straight away, is this bit of plastic here, which is a bit spangly and a bit shiny. To me, it's a bit My Little Mitsubishi. And on the subject of kiddies' toys, these cubby holes, which are very, very useful, no doubt, for stopping things rattling around, for some reason have been lined with Action Man hair, which the first time the nippers throw the chewing gum in is never ever going to be clean again. As we look around, one thing to bear in mind is this blue colour, these plastic bits can actually be changed. There'll be probably 4 trim levels when it comes to the UK, but you can choose from 3 colours, a green, a blue and a greyish blue, for the interior to tune it to your liking. And it is fairly well equipped. It's not the prettiest of dashboards, but on this one we've got a satellite navigation system and the radio all integrated in one unit and the display for that integrated in one unit over the top with the CD for the satellite navigation to go in. And when you sit here, straight away you have got the high seating position that you'll find in, I know they won't like me for saying it, but a Renault Scenic, and the comparison is inevitable. And if it's not high enough for you, you can make it higher with this little lever. One complaint is that the steering wheel, though not overly uncomfortable, is adjustable only for rake and isn't adjustable for reach, which is a bit of a shame. It does mean that you are always stuck at a bit of a Yorkie lorry driving position for me. And as for the rear, well, we've got a bench seat for 3 people, so nothing spectacular and unusual there. Inside, we've got 3 rear headrests, 3 3-point inertia belts, so everybody's nice and safe and secure. But I wouldn't fancy being the 3rd adult sitting in the middle of this for very far. The good news is that at the very back, the boot is enormous. In fact, it's pretty much bigger than most of the opposition. If you look at the equivalent family hatchbacks on the market, it's substantially larger. One of the reasons for that is that these rear seats can be slid forward to increase the space. But if you were to do that, I can't in all honesty say I'd want to go too far in there. It comes with a choice of 2 engines. There's a 1.3 litre with 4 valves per cylinder. It's very economical, though hardly a rocket ship in the performance stakes, not surprisingly. And then there's this, which is the 1.8 litre. It's dubbed GDI, but don't let that confuse you. There's no diesel involved here. That stands for gasoline direct injection. So it's a petrol engine. The fuel is injected directly into the cylinders. The advantage here, amongst many things, is that it's enabled Mitsubishi carefully to engineer in a bit of variation. Think of Honda's VTEC, the MGF's VVC engine. Both of them enable, in those cases by varying the cam profile or the timing of the cams, to actually tailor the engine according to demand. What Mitsubishi have done is allow that variation by means of varying the time at which the petrol is injected into the cylinder in the course of the engine stroke. I think What that actually means to you and I is there's a little light on the dashboard. When I am easy with the right-hand pedal, then the dashboard lights up and tells me the GDI ecosystem is working and I'm using barely any fuel at all. If I then mash it as hard as I can, the GDI light goes out, but the result is I take off pretty smartly, and it works. As an engine, it does feel flexible. It's nowhere near the marked difference you'd experience with a Honda VTEC engine, but nevertheless, the result will be less fuel used. If you compare it to the opposition, say a 1.8 or 2 litre engine in any comparable small estate or hatch, or even in the kind of mini MPV sector, this thing is substantially more economical. So there's no argument with the figures, and at the end of the day it makes for a comfortable, flexible, if not overly exciting drive. Whilst the 1.8 engine is pretty high-tech, there's nothing equally high-tech about the oily bits underneath. Having said that, the chassis and suspension setup is by no means outdated. There's multi-link rear suspension and McPherson struts at the front, and they do a very good job of keeping the whole thing pointing in the right direction. In fact, with the 1.8 engine in, it's really quite an entertaining drive, perhaps because of its semi-tall rather than proper tall profile. There's no body roll problem through the corners. It all feels pretty well screwed down, and it can be quite an entertaining drive. Kind of simple and uncomplicated. Like me, really. Let's be honest, there's nothing particularly new or innovative about the Mitsubishi Spacestar, apart from its semi-tall profile and, of course, the 1.8-litre GDI engine. Neither is it particularly good-looking or particularly bad-looking. In fact, it's bland. But then, so are we as car buyers. In Europe, we like our family hatches, and boy, is it ever back. And there's good news if that's your decision to buy, for the simple reason this is based on the Charisma platform. And platform sharing is usually good news for us, the customer. Because the manufacturer saves a whole load of money in developing a new car if all they have to do effectively is bolt it onto the platform of one they've already designed. Well, Mitsubishi reckon that this is going to come to the UK for between £12,000 and £16,000, depending upon the trim level.